Hello and welcome back to Stranded Deep. You join us once more in the cartographer. For today we are going to be editing a map, or making a new map to be more accurate. We have these 25 squares which represent all the islands in our world. What we're going to do is hit create an island. And then we are greeted with a familiar sight. Yes, a whole new map, a whole new world for us to edit. Now what I thought we could do this time is create an archipelago, a collection of small islands in one island tile. So I'm using WSA and D to move around, I'm using Q and E to move up and down, and I'm using the right mouse button to pan the camera. This is a single island tile. It is lovely. It is big. It's a lot bigger than it looks when you have basically the entire world in your viewport. What we're going to do is immediately hit terrain, hit the cog, and then turn the ocean off because the editor is slightly different to how it used to be. The sort of cake, I guess the island platform, or whatever you want to call it. It's interesting that the mesh no longer reaches all the way to the sea floor. Not that anyone would be able to swim down that far to swim under it. I mean, if we take the camera down there, it gets darker and darker and darker, and then it's pitch black before we even get to that gap in the mesh. It's just interesting that it exists. So this would be a normal island, and on the top we have this wonderful bumpy terrain, which is pretty sweet. And then we have this lower level of the sand, which comes up to a beach, a fairly shallow beach. And if we turn the water back on by hitting display ocean, boom. So objects, so we don't have the brush. It's actually a nice map to start with. I mean, we could just put a load of trees and stuff on here and be done with it. Interestingly, if we change the time of day, one thing we have to contend with is tides. So the water does come in and out, which is noticeable just here, in fact. So if we turn that little headland bit, disappears, it's there, it disappears. It's really, really cool. So what we need to do is work out what scale we're working to and how much land we have. Okay. So let us hit the display ocean. We actually have quite a large area to play with. If we turn it on, it looks like it sort of... let's pick up a rock. Let's pick up cliff 2 and let's drag it in. It looks like we can only go to about here before you sort of drop into the abyss. But if we turn the ocean off, actually we can go closer to the edge of the world. There's going to be a few problems with trying to create an archipelago instead of just a solid island. One of them is getting the sort of smoothly, gently shelving shoreline. It's going to be a pain in the butt. It's going to be a real pain in the butt. Also, navigation is going to be an issue. If we hit up the ocean again, we can see if we get close to the water that the waves are traveling in a direction. They're traveling front and back. They are wanting to push your boat, your little raft is going to go in the direction that the waves are going. Nice. But if you start making channels and coves and all the lovely interesting things, you're going to have a problem with navigation. You're going to be fighting against the current as well as trying to navigate smaller waterways, which, to be honest, probably isn't a big concern of the game designers. They're like, yeah, that's a thing. You know, you're not supposed to be trying to navigate your rickety raft down a Venetian canal. So, we've got things to do. We've got things to consider. So what I'm going to go and do is grab some objects, drop that there, and then just move it around. And then we use these as pins. Little pins? Yep. How many islands do we want? That is a question. I think what we'll do is try and not go for like too many. 3 seems to be a good number, just given the fact that we have limited area, and in order to create softer shores for things, we are going to need to give these give these islands a little room to breathe. There's nothing we can do about symmetry. So what I mean is, if we place these symmetrical, these sort of pins that we're putting down on the map, humans will pick out patterns. It's what humans do. And like this texture in the middle, the repeated texture, you won't notice that in game because it's not quite how it works in game, and also when you get close enough you don't really see it. But with large geographic features, if you just have 3 islands the same, positioned in a grid or whatever, it's very hard to make them look natural, make them look kind of as if they have occurred naturally. So I'm just putting these pins down. What I want to do is use these as markers for where the islands are going to be, and the reason for that is that once we start brushing everything in, I want enough space around the outside before the abyssal drop. So we've got space to play with, and every time we move the camera, so we sort of move the camera around these items, we see, so that object over there looks like it's right close to the edge of the map, but if we move close to it, it's not perspective, yo. So we know that one over there is okay. This one's okay. Okay, fine. Good. We have some things to consider as well, and that's going to be, so the depth of the water between the islands. Something to consider, because the game really does like throwing rocks and stuff in carefully crafted waterways. So you are going to have problems there. We're going to read the terrain height. Let's take this soft sand there, the dry sand. We're going to leave the amount down, and then we're just going to brush around this area. And the reason we're doing this and not just cracking the amount all the way to the right is because we want that, we want to try and build up an island with a smooth enough shoreline, or a gently shelving shoreline. So if we come down, we sort of see this all coming up. It's coming up fairly uniformly, sort of. More uniformly than if we just use raise and lower height. And it's going to stop as soon as we get to dry sand. So we're trying to brush it in such a way that when we use the smooth tool, it's going to take less time for us to smooth that shoreline out. And the reason for having a very smooth shoreline is that you get the greater effects of the tides, and it's easier to land a raft on. If you have just a curbstone for your on your island, you sail a raft up to it, and it just stops, hits the island, and then you have a problem where you're trying to back the raft up, and it's not really backing up, and it's sort of you want to get off. There might be a shark in the area or something, and it just becomes really tricky to land the raft. So a more smooth and gentle shoreline is preferable to one what just drops away violently. So we're gonna take some time sculpting the world to begin with. And this is always the bit that you start in the map editor and you're like, oh, well, I don't really know what this is going to look like. I don't really know. I'm not really feeling it at this point. And that's fine, because the islands don't really become islands until you have started to put objects on them. So shipwrecks and trees and cliffs and things. Up until that point, they're just, well, it's just terrain, just a little bit of geometry. But it's also kind of cathartic, just coming in and clicking away like a mad person on the mouse. Very different to... I keep thinking about using a Wacom. I do have a baby Intuos. I wish I could afford a big Intuos like I have at work, but I wouldn't get a big one just for stranded deep map editing. And a Cintiq, not at all. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, they are graphics tablets. So the Intuos is kind of a industry standard graphics tablet. It's big, sort of big plastic flat thing, and you have a stylus that looks like a pen, and as you draw straight into whatever graphics software you're using. So Photoshop or Photoshop. Is there any other graphics software out there? Illustrator maybe? Yeah, I wouldn't use anything other than Photoshop, to be honest. Maybe Photoshop? I'm struggling. I know there's others. I know there's like Paint Shop Pro and stuff, but seriously, why would you do that to yourself? Read terrain height. So we're going to read it from this rougher, coarser sand down here, which will be a different different terrain again, and we're going to push all of this in. In fact, why don't we have a little... So we're going to cut these off, cut these little islands off from each other. So the problem with this is that we are going to have an island chain. What is separated from each other? Kind of tricky to land on. We might need to push these islands out to make them slightly bigger. That's going to be a thing. But we're just playing around and working with what we've got so far. Okay, this is good. So it might be that you land, and then by landing you've got... That's kind of working for me, actually. Let's turn the ocean back on and see what we've got. Yeah, that is kind of working for me. Let's change the time of day. Whoa. Alright. So nothing just goes and joins itself. Yep, I do realise that a lot of the ocean around here is very, very shallow, as witnessed by if we put the camera down in the water, it's not actually that deep. You can run between the islands. Let's just see what we've got in terms of space. And one of the ways we can do that is to take an item which is scalable to a person. So we'll take a structure and we will take Shipwreck 3A and we will put it on an island. That's quite a sizable island. Again, quite a sizable island. Boop. And again. So these are not bad in terms of size. And we can tell how big a person is because you have to fit through the door. And these shipwrecks are fairly big, so yeah, okay, that's kind of working for me. Right. We will take terrain and we will raise and lower. Now we're going to turn the ocean off so we can actually see the brush. You can see the brush above, so we turn the ocean back on. You can see the brush above the ocean. You can't see it if you are above the ocean's surface and you're looking down, but if you put the camera below the surface, suddenly you can see that brush again. So yeah, there's something to do with the surface of the ocean. Not showing you the brush. It'll work, but you just won't be able to see what you're doing. So what we're going to do is go to raise and lower, change the size down, and then really cut in. This is raise, I want lower. Cut in some of these channels, and we've got the soft brush. There are a bunch of different brushes. I ain't using them though. I like the soft brush because we want to have that very soft shoreline. So it's gonna take a while to make look natural. Change the amount up a little bit more. Is that giving us what we want? How far are we having to push this down? That's a problem. We'll use the smooth tool as well. The trouble is, as soon as you go too deep with the channel, essentially what we need is any players crossing between these island archipelagos to have to swim. So they have to be deep enough to stop the walk animation and to transfer into the swimming animation. Also, maybe deep enough to get certain marine life will only spawn in deeper areas, things like snakes and stuff. So that's the thing. Let's see what we got. What we got? Show me what you got. Right. Okay, that's a deeper channel. We can do the same thing here. We can actually just... Can we do it from the top? Oh, yeah. Got to turn that brush back on, yo. So we can do it from the top. We can't see the brush, but we can see its effects. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. I'm going to always put in sort of cheaty little islands, I guess. So what we can do, one of the things we could do is put in islands made of cliffs or rocks or something, knowing that they won't have an effect on a storm. Oh, that's an interesting thing, though. What effect is having an island chain going to have during a storm when the sea, the water mesh gets really riled up and raised up? Very, very interesting question. Of course, until you get close to these little islands, you will see. So we're close up, and we can see a fairly detailed shoreline. But as soon as we pull away, that becomes the shoreline seems to pop around, and that's LOD. That's level of detail. It seems quite harsh in the map editor. It's not, because you're seeing a lot more than you would see normally in the game, and in the game itself, its rendering is handled slightly differently as well, so you get better textures and you get a greater level of detail. We're gonna hit smooth because we are is directed. No, thank you. I'm gonna have that switched on, but now we can take this amount slider, rack it all the way to the right, because we are going to go and smooth that shoreline. So all those rough bits, those little triangular pieces, we want to get rid of those. And yeah, cool. We can always add, so if there's like a tricky bit of shoreline, we can always add some rocks or some cliffs or something to it, and really just bubbles, really just smooth it out. Right, okay. You don't want the bubbles. The bubbles on the shoreline between the water and the sand are representative of a problem that you will have once the island goes into the main game, and that is that the water mesh will break at that point, and you will be able to see, if you're standing on the shore, under the water without any fog or atmospherics or caustics or anything. Kind of immersion breaking, because you can see the edge of the water mesh. So you sort of do the brushing and then you give it a second to catch up, and if the bubbles are still there, you got a problem. So we've got a problem just there. But we're going to carry on and we're going to be smoothing this off around here. Just a sketch, essentially just sketching an island. So we're going to be doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this. Nice. Absolutely brilliant. Cool. It's always worth spending an extra time at this stage to get the shape of the island right. It's almost something that no one's going to notice that you've spent any time at all on it if it's done properly. Because, which islands have we done? We've done that one, and I think we need to do this one. Okay. Yeah, if it's done properly, people aren't going to notice it. They're just going to say, well, it's just an island. And then you put a bunch of shipwrecks or rocks or whatever over it, and people go, wow, it's a really good island because it's got all these shipwrecks. It's like, no, it's a really good island because you didn't bounce your raft off and lose it to the abyss or whatever. It's like, guys, come on, see the bigger picture. But yeah, any players on your island, we're creating a fun time for people. So what we're going to do is brush this back. So yeah, shoreline on the mind. Yeah, so we're making this smooth. We can brush into the channels as well by turning the ocean off, going back to the smooth height, changing the size up, and then just brushing through there. We'll lose some height as we do it. In fact, we can smooth off all these rough edges out to sea as well. The reason we're doing this is to get rid of any triangles. So anyone swimming around in the sea itself might see a bunch of triangles and stuff underwater where the geometry kind of got a bit screwy. I'm guessing, I don't know how many times people, I'm guessing people have made archipelagos before, collection of islands. I'm guessing we're not the first people to do this. And we've tried it sort of in a way whenever we've created islands with rivers and stuff running through them. So we're just going around the outside and we are smoothing off any sort of big drops and stuff. Cool. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. The next thing we can do is we can raise the land up. We'll change the amount slider because the amount slider, this one here that I'm sliding left and right, is inherited between all three of these terrain tools. So you never want to leave that up after smoothing something, because if you then hit raise and lower, click on raise or even lower, and then click, you are going to punch a hole either straight to the center of the world, or you're going to rise the land up to the moon, or, sun. That is a problem. It will be a problem. And you'll say, why did I do that? Oh no, why did I do that? I'm just kind of looking at the islands. It's okay. We do have a bit of negative space over here. I'm not sure if I want to do anything with that, though. I'm not sure if I really want to do anything with that. Maybe, maybe not. I think it might be fine without it. We don't need to fill the entire surface of like the island tile. We don't need to fill this up. We just need to make it interesting. So let us leave the ocean on for the time being, because why not? Let's get rid of some of these objects. Let's get rid of, if I press delete, if I press carriage return or enter or spacebar or Y, no, it doesn't do anything. You have to click on the yes. It's a little thing. But I can press delete and then click yes. Okay, cool. Cool. So we'll do the same thing again, and I immediately want to hit carriage return and it's not doing it. Or space. Space is a good one. We'll go back to terrain. I'm leaving these shipwrecks on these islands because it gives me an idea of scale. And now what we can do is start sketching in the islands themselves. We'll have to come back to the shore again, and these underwater areas and various bits and pieces. There's things we're gonna need to do on them. These shipwrecks are not going to stay on these islands, by the way. They are going to go. They're just literally there as markers. Which island do we start with? This one's quite big. The middle one's fairly big. That one over there, though, that's quite small. I think this one is the one I want to use. Right. Okay, fine. Let us hit up an object. Let's go with an item. I don't want an item, I want a structure. Why didn't you tell me I wanted a structure? You were like, it's going for an item. I wonder what he's going to do. It's like, no. I want that one, though. Okay, let's rotate you. Let's get rid of you. That's the delete button. Hang on a sec. I hadn't realized that the delete button in the very, very bottom right-hand corner is a bin with a lid and a cube going into the bin. It's kind of a really weird, tiny little icon. And I've been looking at it for probably years. Years and years and years. Right, I want to select this object. Why can't I select this object? Oh dear. Object. It's because the T transform tool wasn't selected. Right, so we got ourselves into a situation where transform wasn't selected. T transform, R rotate on the keyboard, or you can use these buttons at the top, and I think F is focus. So if we look away, tap F on the keyboard, boom, we are looking at what we need to see. What I'm going to do is position this like so, bring you forward a little bit, drop you down into the sand, and rotate you just a little bit, because no object that's ever been exposed to the sea is completely level, on the level. I'll move you back from the water a little bit and drop you down a little bit more into the sand. So what I'm doing is, what we'll need to do is sort of mess with the height of the terrain to get grass and various bits and pieces. But what I want is each of these islands to have something on them that's interesting and maybe even unique to the islands themselves, so that when a player comes here, they don't go, all right, this island's got coconuts on it, this island's got coconuts. I'll just stay here, grab a bunch of resources and bugger off. You want them to come here and then spend time exploring each of the little islands. So what we're going to need to do is create little vignettes. So that is, give people a reason to come to each of these islands individually. Now, whether that's because you've got fruit there, whether that's because you've got treasure there, whether that's because there's just like something cool to look at or a cool little thing for people to see. And like I said, you have to really use your imagination at this stage when you just have these bits of mesh and that's it. No trees, no objects, no nothing. It's kind of, this is the kind of the tricky stage. Now, what I'm thinking with this is we are going to sketch in some other things. So what I want to do is do something we've done before. Use some clef 6. Yeah, boy. And get like a cave or something, get on the go. We've done this before. It works. The nice thing about the cliffs is that so what we can do is put the cliffs in and then build up the terrain around the outside. Let's do this. Let's do it. Unfortunately, you can't copy and paste anything. I mean, you can clone by pressing C. There we go. Clone something. If you want something at the same angle. But what you can't do is copy and paste anything. Like a collection of objects. It would be really handy if you could grab one from one map and put it into another. So we're really going to have to use our imaginations here. Maybe we don't maybe we don't complete the like put a complete cave over the top. I don't know. Of course, when we move objects, we are really okay. We're going to be really careful about how we do things. Yes, we could put a roof over this, but then you just got this object on a beach, and then we have to dress it, decorate it, maybe obscure it with trees and various bits and pieces. So in order to make it look natural, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. One of the ways we can do this is use a different cliff along the outside, maybe, and sort of break up this structure. We can press R, we can rotate that in or out. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that and rotate it at 180. And then do this. So we can have like an island that's fairly rocky. But by doing this, we might create gaps so the player can fall down. So I'm going to actually get rid of that. Yeah, you don't want anywhere where the player can fall down and get stuck. So there's probably okay because they might not be able to get in there, but you got a jump button and you've got you've got various ways of getting stuck as a player. So I'm going to hit C on this and clone it. Press T and bring this out, and then I'm going to dump this down into the ground a little bit more. Press R to rotate, and then I'm going to bring this in at a different angle to really smooth off that angle, because the inside is okay being fairly vertical, fairly sheer, but the outside is not. And at this point, if we're creating things, what we can do is still play around with the edges of the island, the very edges of the island. So I think one side can be an absolute cliff. Let's try that. Let's try that. Let's rotate that back a little bit. Press T, bring it in. Okay. And this might not look like anything at the moment, but I'm leaving a little path at the back. And what we can do is use another cliff. Cliff 6 is good because it'll give us a huge amount of rock to play with. So you could actually just put a roof over the top. Boom. Oh, but hang on a second. Hang on a second. Because these models are not sealed on the bottom, they're closed up on the bottom. So that would mean that you have to be a little bit careful using this. Also, it's a huge amount of stuff, and we might not actually want it. We can use other cliffs, maybe even just this one, boop, 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 which is enormous. Cliff 2, I'm just kind of popping it around. It is just snapping to the terrain, but after it's finished snapping to the terrain, we can use it in a way that it's not really supposed to be used. And I want the blue tab. Blue tab. We're going to quickly get into a situation where let's rotate it the other way. Boop, boop. Booping is happening. That might even be too big. Oof. Oof. Is that what she said? Are we doing one of those? It kind of works. We're going to need to play with this. We're going to need to get a cliff or maybe even just some rocks. We can use big rock. That might work. We don't need to create a cave. We just need to create something that's that is going to for the player to walk under. No, literally walk under and jump on are the two things. So there we go. Is that big enough for a player to get through? Oh, that's a question. A question for the ages. So if we go to, by clicking terrain and then objects, you unlink yourself from any objects that you might have selected. So if you've got something selected, you don't know where it is, just hit terrain, hit objects, and then you will be able to move around freely without doing anything, moving anything even. So the door is the size of the player, because a player has to go through the door. We made a little ragdoll player out of stuff, and then I was like, hang on a second. Players just go through the doors, right? That's what they do. So we can use the door as a way of having a scale on an island. I'm not entirely sure why the door is still here. Gonna be honest, because there's no real reason for it. All the shipwrecks have their own doors. But it is one of the most useful objects in the trade, because it shows you how tall your player is. Cool. So we've got the start of a little vignette. It looks like nothing at the moment, but it will become something, trust me. And then we have these other islands that we need to play with. It's kind of unique in that we've made rivers and maps. We've never really made separate islands. The shorelines are going to change as we play around with them. Yeah, we've got stuff to be getting on with. We have stuff to be getting on with. You know what? I'm going to leave it here. So if you like this, if you want to see more, definitely, then leave a little like, leave a little thumbs up, or leave a subscribe. If you're not subscribed, it's free, and if you click the little bell, you will get notifications when videos go live. And you know what? I'll catch you next time.